Because my frame is a CTX200 frame, and this frame uses an AC CDI, and I've fitted a flat track racer 233, or it may even be an XR 230 or an XL 230, which appears to be very similar to the COF 230L wiring diagrams that I've managed to locate. In that I have a three-phase stator with three yellow wires coming from the stator plus a ground conductor, which lines up nicely with this schematic where I have my three-phase star connected output from my stator. It goes into my full wave rectifier, which of course has got 6 diodes, and then it feeds into the regulator section for charging the battery. The positive from the battery comes around through the ignition switch and connects onto VDD, which is the positive DC 12 volt supply to the CDI, and the PC is the pulse connection, and E is the ground, and the ignition output goes straight to the ignition coil, which is also connected to the frame ground, and of course the coil outputs to the spark plug. So this is the 4-pin DC CDI that I'm going to try on my bike. I believe that it should do the job in that I've got a DC system due to my stator not being the same as the CTX stator, or even a CRF 230F stator, where they have two lots of windings. One is an AC winding for the CDI unit, and the other is a AC winding which gets rectified and regulated to charge the battery and run the light or lights. Anyway, these aren't too expensive to buy, so even if my experiment doesn't work out, at least it's not going to be a terribly expensive exercise. But I see no reason why it shouldn't work. I've got a whole DC system on this bike build, and using this DC CDI should allow me to get this engine up and running. It's very difficult to find schematics for these bikes online. Another thing that some of these bikes have is a side stand switch too, which controls the engine. My bike doesn't have that. It just has the neutral switch and the clutch switch that prevents the engine from being started without these being activated as it connects to earth on the start solenoid coil to ground. Okay, so if anybody is in a similar situation to me, we decided to swap a 230 engine into a CTX frame, this may be an answer for you too. Remember, both of these bikes, the frames are built in Brazil. The CTX200, also known as the Bushlander in some parts of the world, is manufactured in Brazil, and so is the CRF 230, manufactured in Brazil. The build quality of these frames is pretty decent actually when you compare it to Japanese equivalents. So thank you for viewing this, and hopefully in the next video we'll hear the engine running.